This time, he's hawking a line of branded acoustic and electric guitars that, along with his signature, come with a price tag of more than $10,000. Just add it to the pile of Bibles, sneakers, watches, digital trading cards, and other things Trump has recently been convincing all of his easy marks to shell out for. This, of course, is nothing new for Trump. He has a long history of grifting. One of his biggest scams was Trump University. Do you remember that one?
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about, success. It's going to happen to you. Honestly, if you don't learn from them, if you don't learn from me, if you don't learn from the people that we're going to be putting forward, and these are all people that are hand-picked by me, then you're just not going to make it in terms of the world of success. I think the biggest step towards success is going to be sign up at Trump University.
Yep. Just a year after The Apprentice appeared on televisions across the country, Trump opened the doors to his sham university, basically promising that if you signed up for his courses, which could run as much as $35,000, you too could learn to be rich just like him. And a lot of people took the bait. Thousands upon thousands of people bought into the scam across multiple states. In 2013, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman filed a civil lawsuit against Trump. Other states were weighing whether to join the lawsuit, including Florida, which was second among states with people buying into the con. Florida's Attorney General at that time was Pam Bondi, Trump's latest pick to become U.S. Attorney General, following Matt Gaetz's disastrous short run for the position. Well, just 4 days after reports surfaced that Florida could join in the lawsuit, a donation of $25,000 was made from the Donald Trump Foundation to a PAC supporting Bondi's 2014 reelection bid. That must have just been a coincidence, right? First off, I should add that it is highly illegal for a foundation to make political contributions, which this clearly was. And wouldn't you know it? A few weeks later, Bondi's office announced that it would not take any legal action against Trump University. Who could have guessed that? And ever since then, Bondi has been by Trump's side. In fact, she was floated as Attorney General in his first administration after Trump fired then AG Jefferson Sessions. She served on Trump's legal team during his first impeachment trial in 2020, though her performance was, let's just say, less than stellar.
He remained on the board until April of 2019.
Oh, honey, you wouldn't know it from that, but she has made countless appearances on TV, especially on Fox, showing her loyalty, including pushing his big lie following the 2020 election.
We do have evidence of cheating, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but we are still on the ground in Pennsylvania. I'm here right now, and we are not going anywhere until they declare that we won Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and no. Trump did not win Pennsylvania in 2020. She also made sure to be by his side during his criminal trials here in New York City.
Listen, all the rights here, I'm a prosecutor, former prosecutor. Yeah, all the rights here go to the defendant because it's his liberty at stake, and that has not been happening in this courtroom. This case should have never, ever been brought.
One might say that it is highly dubious ethically to bring one of one's own lawyers in to lead the Department of Justice, but Trump has already announced 2 of his other lawyers to top DOJ positions. So, what's one more? And sadly, given some of Trump's other cabinet picks, she may easily sail through simply because, to our knowledge, she has not faced any allegation of sexual misconduct, because that apparently is where the bar is being set. Joining me now is Tristan Snell, former Assistant Attorney General for New York State, who prosecuted Trump University, and Ruth Ben-Ghiat, history professor at New York University. Thank you both for being here. Tristan, I do want to go to you. The Trump University scam was the start to what turned into the Pam Bondi scandal at the time. Talk a little bit about the Trump University, what it was, what it did, why it wound up being dissolved.
The whole thing was a scam. It was basically a wealth creation seminar bait and switch scheme wrapped in the gold veneer of the Trump brand. The clip that you played a few minutes ago had one of the big lies in there, saying that Trump had handpicked all of the instructors. He never met any of them, never had anything to do with any of them. So the whole thing, you could go on, but they promised that people would learn everything they needed to know to invest in real estate, and then they never actually delivered on any of it.
Yeah. And didn't it, it also, in a sense, led to the second trial that Donald Trump faced in New York, which was his charity being delisted.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about that, because the actual donation to Pam Bondi's PAC came from his charity.
That's right. So it was both the source of the Bondi scandal, and then it led to the Trump Foundation. My colleagues in the Charities Bureau at the time at the New York Attorney General's office then brought that case, focusing on that illegality and others and other fraud that occurred, and then shut down the foundation and managed to get a $2 million victory.
So just so that people understand kind of where we are in terms of the corruption aspect of it, and that Letitia James, who then took over the as U.S. as Attorney General here in the state of New York, she wasn't just fishing after Trump. I mean, there were things that led to her going after Donald Trump's companies and his charities.
Trump was already a recidivist before Letitia James came into office. The notion that she was somehow looking for targeting Trump, that's crazy. It's just like, okay, we have a list of all of the people who have been criming, and he's on it. Maybe we should keep on looking into those people who have been criming.
Yeah. Ruth, I want to talk about the reason I wanted to start here is because, corruption is sort of the coin of the realm in autocratic governments. We talked about kakistocracy, one of my favorite words. And it's not just government by the worst people, but people who are willing to do corruption. Pam Bondi, as a lobbyist, she had clients, she had big clients, Amazon, GM, Uber, Qatar, the nation of Qatar. She comes in with a history, and that history does include a very dubious tie to Donald Trump. What do you make of the idea of her being the highest law enforcement officer in the country?
I mean, she has the quality that he wants, far more than expertise or professionalism. She is loyal. And this autocratic models of loyalty the loyalty can have no bounds. You have to do whatever the leader asks you to do. And she's worked long and hard to get to this, this nomination. She's been a true believer, forever. She also, in 2016 at the Republican National Convention, people started chanting, "Lock her up," about Clinton. And she said, "Yes, lock her up. I love that." And so she has been stumping for him. She showed up at the criminal trial. She's done all the loyalty performances, and he watches who comes out in support of him at his moments of duress. And he's had many because of his own corruption, the impeachments, et cetera. And she's been there every time. So this is the reward. And he knows he can count on her to do whatever he asks her to do. So he used to call William Barr my attorney general. This will be double the case now if she becomes the attorney general. She'll certainly be his attorney general.
Right. I mean, and Donald Trump has always said he wants his Roy Cohn. He's now stacking the DOJ with Roy Cohns. Let me just read a Washington Post headline. Cassidy Hutchinson, if you'll recall, she was the star witness in the January 6th hearings, House hearings. She says that Trump figures sought to influence her testimony, and she names Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, Florida's former attorney general, even let Hutchinson know one night in March that she had been the topic of conversation during a dinner with Trump himself, in which a job working with a Republican heavyweight was discussed. Hutchinson testified, "Pam texted me that night and said something to the effect of, Susie, Matt Schlapp and I had dinner with POTUS at Mar-a-Lago tonight. Call Matt next week. He has a job for you that we all think you'd be great at, that we think you would be great in. You are the best. Keep up the good work. Love and miss you." So that is on the record, things that she allegedly did is sort of muscle Cassidy Hutchinson. And now let you listen to, in 2023, what she said she would like to do to people in the Department of Justice.
When Republicans take back the White House, and we will, you know what's going to happen? The Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated, because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows. But now they have a spotlight on them, and they can all be investigated.
Ruth Ben-Ghiat, that is on the menu now, to go after people who investigated Donald Trump for various alleged crimes.
Investigating the investigators is a classic of authoritarianism, because what the leader wants more than anything is to be safe, to feel untouchable. And so anybody, prosecutors, judges, investigative journalists, anybody who has the facts and the empirical proof to harm them have to be investigated themselves. And so the wheel of justice turns into, I call this the upside down world of authoritarianism. And many of the nominations, you know, like the director of national intelligence, who may compromise our national security, the Health and Human Services, you know, nomination that would spread disease because he doesn't believe in vaccines. And so the AG who would have investigators investigated. This is classic authoritarian dynamics.
Yeah.